featuring Treads in the Hat. And this time, we gonna get Chrimmy. What's up? Welcome.
Happy Christmas, Snoof.
Happy Christmas. Happy Chrimmy. It is the season already. It is
the season.
I'm aware that this is coming out, I guess technically just before Thanksgiving. Growing up, a lot of times we waited until after Thanksgiving to put up our Christmas decor. Now we don't. Like, my mom and dad already have their stuff up. My wife and I, the moment Halloween ends, we're putting up our Christmas stuff. I think you said this year you put up stuff maybe a little earlier than usual, or were you on like your normal timeline this year?
I have always been like ready to put it up right after October. My family growing up, much like yours, we would normally wait. Like my mom has all of her like Thanksgiving decorations and stuff. So we used to be a little later, but I was always kind of the advocate for like, I'm ready for Christmas. Like as soon as like, it's not that I'm overlooking Thanksgiving, but I'm like ready. Like it's like part of that. Thanksgiving's like part of it. Like I don't care if Christmas decorations are out for Thanksgiving. So yeah, my wife and I are actually a little late this year getting everything put up. We started early in November, but we just got our tree put up last weekend. So yeah, but so we're in full swing now though, and I love it. The Christmas stuff's great. Makes just a regular evening at home even just happier to have all the Christmas lights on and stuff. It's good times.
Absolutely. Like doing work by the tree at home if you have to or whatever, or there's just whatever you're doing.
Better. Much better.
That's why, like, especially like we talked about it off air. Like the older we get, we agree with every grandparent ever. It's like it just keeps getting faster. Time just keeps getting faster. So like if you wait until Thanksgiving, you're gonna have your tree up for like at most 5 weeks, probably. Like I'd rather have it up longer, and then I get to enjoy it that much longer.
Right.
Those 5 weeks are gonna fly.
Exactly. And honestly, less than that. Like Thanksgiving this year is like the very end of November.
Right. You're gonna have
You're gonna have like the 1 month of December, and then you know if you take it down immediately after Christmas, like ugh.
Yeah, we normally wait until New Year's, like the day after New Year's, maybe New Year's Day, maybe we start taking it down, but. You know, to each his own there, I guess. Ours is probably honestly up normally even a little longer than that, but it's just kind of depressing. It's depressing to see it after, but then it's also depressing to like put it all away. Just that's like my least favorite time of year. It sucks. That comes right after like the best. Yeah. January sucks, like by far.
Yeah.
Worst month. Welcome to the Tis It Is holiday special. Hopefully one of our holiday specials. We'll see how all these shakes out. But tonight, pal, we are going to draft our top 7 Christmas movies. And we're going to see how this goes because we were texting about it. And at first we were going to do Mount Rushmore. And Treads was like, I like drafting because if we do a Rushmore, each of us are going to have the same like top 3 probably. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I said, okay, well, let's draft like 5. He's like, I already have 16 written down. I still like...
This man, Snoof, was like, let's draft 2 favorite Christmas movies.
5? I said 5.
I can only think of 5. You only could think of 5 movies.
At first, yeah, I had to Google too. I Googled Christmas movies and was like, surely there's like a couple. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's on there.
I am honestly just like shocked how you even could only come up with that. It doesn't make sense to me.
I could think of like Christmas with the Cranks or whatever it's called. Like I've never seen it. I probably won't draft it. Like I'm sure I could think.
Maybe I've just seen more of these. Like it's stuff like that level of movie, like Christmas with the Cranks. That's like, sure, it's fun. Like yeah, it's not like in a tier of like just movies in general. It's not great, but like when you're talking about let's throw something on for Christmas, it's something that like would be on my radar at least. So maybe I was dipping too far down the barrel of quality, and you were like just taking the, top couple into consideration. So maybe we just looked at it a little differently.
I definitely was like, what am I willing to draft? Daddy's Home 2. I talked about it when we talked about Will Ferrell. It's funny. Never will you see me like, put it on for Christmas, even though like it is technically a Christmas movie. Like I won't.
It is. Yeah,
so,
it is. It is.
Whatever. I'm excited.
That's fair.
Excited to see Die Hard show up on your list. I'm excited for that.
I don't know.
Are you a Die Hard as a Christmas movie believer?
I think I think it really does depend on how you go about defining Christmas. Like, does the Christmas season enhance your enjoyment of Die Hard? I say yes, because it's so wrapped into the themes of the movie. Like, there's constant references to Christmas. It takes place like, right there, there's Christmas music. So I don't think it's like in and of itself like the movie is giving like Christmas themes and like about all these the things that make Christmas great. But if you watch that in June, it doesn't quite hit the same as like watching all those Christmas references in
Okay.
Christmas time. So I think it's like I don't know. I think it is enhanced by the Christmas season, but it's not necessarily like a capital C Christmas movie.
You're not going to see it in ABC Family's 25 Days of Christmas, is what you're saying.
Right.
Which
So I'm kind of I don't really have I feel like I'm just kind of right in the middle on that one. Like I understand the people that vouch for it for Christmas movie, but I also understand why some people are more hesitant to label it as such.
Nice. Okay. Well, there you have it. Let us know what your thoughts are on Die Hard.
Actually, before we move on too, this is random.
Oh.
But I just was thinking Christmas plays a special role, I guess, in our content creation relationship. Going way, way back.
Oh my God, it does.
What was that, 7th grade? Miss Sadowski?
Yes, 7th grade English, yep.
Yeah.
The
Our little Christmas play we had to create, which we had a couple other people in our team or group or whatever, I think, that I know the two of us just wrote that whole thing, and they would have random parts that I don't even know what they had.
We wrote it, and your mom, like, built that set, dude. She built, like, a house with, like, a chimney, and, like, you walked in with my mom made this. I was like, holy crap. Like, she went all out.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. I just never, this is, like, so stupid, but I will never forget, like, that, like, later that day or the next day or something, there was this girl from our class. I don't even remember who she was necessarily, but I remember overhearing her talking to someone else and saying, like, talking about our skit, and we're like, oh, like Scott and Steven are so funny, and that was like a high feeling for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like we can entertain, like what? That was awesome.
There it started.
I'll literally never forget that. Such a small thing, but yeah, so that's kind of cool. Christmas is the catalyst for that.
That's very. I hadn't thought about that exactly. That was the first thing we ever did together, and then to piggyback on what you said about like somebody actually finding us funny. Whenever we in 9th grade English did our benefactor musical, and the teacher, who honestly we thought hated both of us, like loved it so much that she made us perform it again that way she could film it. Like that was such a high. Like she made us come back. Like
she loved us.
Yeah. That was great.
Yep.
Or was that? Did that happen in 12th grade? Maybe both.
Well, 12th grade's definitely the one that she like recorded to show to future things. Okay. I don't remember.
Maybe 9th.
I don't remember if the 9th grade.
I can't remember.
I don't remember the details, but I do remember her like. We were definitely her favorite one for sure.
Yeah. We have a reputation for these people. We have reputations to uphold.
That's right.
Tonight, pal. A couple weeks ago, you hit me with a great trivia segment to decide the power of getting first overall pick or yielding and getting picks 2 and 3. I figured I'd return the favor, so now I'm going to give you some trivia tonight. I have it set up kind of the same way, where I technically have 10 questions here. Okay, I have like a set 7 that I would like for you to go 4 out of 7, and we'll call that a win. I have the extra questions for if there's a question that you're like I don't like it. You can say I want a substitute question, and you can sub in one of the 3 extra questions. In my opinion, the extra questions are harder, but maybe you know more about that movie that I have in the sub than you do the question you're going to get.
Okay.
And I really want to do that because all of these are like, they're not multiple choice. They're not, whatever. It's, you got to know the answer. So this could go terrible.
Oh boy.
It could go great.
Probably going to go terrible. My random knowledge of things from these movies that I probably haven't even watched in a while. So, all right, let's do it.
I have faith in you. As a fellow remembers like random quotes and random lines from random movies, I think I have faith in you, and I'm very much, as you were, I'm rooting for you. So feel free to like ask for a hint or two, and I'll help you.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with what I believe is an easier question, and that is, these are all Christmas themed, obviously. In Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, what does Hermie wish he could be instead of whatever he is?
A dentist.
A dentist is correct. He is 1 for 1. Ding, ding, ding.
Shout out Doc.
Shout out Doc.
Our friend the Doc.
Yes. Moving on to one of our favorite Christmas movies.
Why am I such a misfit? What a guy.
I can't. Every time I think about that movie, I'm like, do I find him annoying or not? I can't decide what I feel about Hermie.
Yeah,
Like,
that's not almost every character in that little movie. Like, I
true.
kind of love it, but also they're all kind of like, ugh, like,
Uh,
it's funny.
eat, Papa, eat.
Yeah. Eat. I say that all the time. It's a great quote.
Next question. What'd you just go for 4? In one of our favorite Christmas movies, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, how many sizes does the Grinch's heart grow?
Is this is it not just 3?
It is 3. I was going to ask
Okay.
how many sizes too small is it, because that answer is only 2, which I honestly don't know if I would remember
True.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he grew 3
Okay, yeah.
sizes that day.
I remembered it grew. I was like, I think like in the original book and everything, it's 3, but I was like, am I like forgetting a trick part of this? But okay, cool.
Okay,
Cool,
okay.
cool.
So I did order these to where, in my opinion, they get harder as they go. So I'm excited to see. Hopefully you don't go
boy.
4 for 4.
Okay.
I know I'm rooting against you.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
I shift in one of the harder questions.
In the French film, Christmas They Lost.
Oh, God. In Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, on what date does Bernard say that he has to be back at the North Pole by?
Gosh, I have not seen this one in a minute. Wait, so explain to me how my lifelines work if I sub something out.
So you can say, I don't like that question. I'm going to sub it in for one of the 3 substitute questions. So I guess technically you have 3. And in my opinion, the sub questions are harder. But again, they're different movies. So you might like know those movies more.
But if I miss this, if I just give a guess and miss it, I'll just go on to the next question. And I'll still
Sure.
just be trying to get...
Sure. And then I guess if we get through 7 and you technically haven't gotten it yet, then we'll dip into the reserves. Because maybe you do know the reserves. So we'll see what you have out of 10, I guess, technically, throughout all this.
I really don't know this one. I haven't seen this movie in a while. So I'm assuming it's like he's saying he has to get back to the North Pole after Christmas. I don't know, 27th?
No, it's like not afterwards. It's after Christmas he's done. Obviously, he works 1 day a year, whatever. Not really. He has to report to the North Pole on what date to get ready for the upcoming Christmas,
Gotcha.
is the question.
December 1st.
We were looking for Thanksgiving.
Okay, makes sense.
That's-
Makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yes, he missed one!
Sorry to my older sister is probably shaking her head.
They're screaming, Thanksgiving! It's Thanksgiving! All right, moving on to one that might be a decent bit harder, but we'll see with your quote knowing knowledge. In National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, they're all out there about to admire the house covered in lights. Do you remember how many lights covered his house?
God. There's no way.
Something, individual bulbs per strand for a grand total of imported Italian twinkle lights.
There's no way I know this number. No way.
Okay. Do you want to sub it for one of the sub questions is about National Lampoon? So do you want to sub it for one of those maybe? Honestly,
Sure. I don't know if I'm gonna get. Yeah, I'll sub it, but I don't know if I'm gonna be any better with that.
okay. The sub question might be easier. What
Okay.
are the names of the Griswold children?
Rusty.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Why am I blanking on her name?
I didn't remember it
I don't
until I saw it. I didn't remember it until I saw it.
Dang, taking the L on that one. Sad.
We were looking for
What is it?
Audrey and Rusty.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Which the only time
Yep.
I saw it, and I was like, oh, yeah, because I remember she's complaining about having to share a room with her brother. And the mom's like, we're all making sacrifices, Audrey. Like, that was...
Yeah. No, as soon as you said it, like, yep, that's right. But yeah. Oh man, sad.
And then for the light question...
Sad.
Do you want to take a stab at the light question, or do you want me to just reveal that as well?
There's a 0% chance I'm gonna get that right.
For a grand total of 25,000 imported Italian twinkle lights.
Okay. Cool.
25,000 lights, dude. It's insane. Oh, God.
Hey, got to get back on track.
Well, get ready, because I wouldn't have known this one.
Great.
I made it difficult. In yet another one of our favorite Christmas movies, Home Alone, Where do the McAllisters go for Christmas? They leave Kevin at home, but where are they going? Honestly, I'll take it if you can tell me where they are in 2. Because 2 does a better job of telling you where they are, I think, than number 1 does.
It was it Florida?
Number 2 is Florida. Okay, I'll take that.
Okay, I remembered a Florida trip, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. My family's
what was the first
in
one?
Florida, and I'm in New York. In the first one, they go to Paris, France.
All right. Well, it's easy to say this, but I promise you I was going to say France. And I was like, is that just like a weird...
Yeah, I would not.
Just like oddly... I should have said... I kind of hate myself. I hate to be like the guy that's like, oh, I was going to say France.
I totally was. I totally was.
I promise you that was the place I was going to guess first. And I was like, am I just like... Like, that's going to be a weird guess if I miss that. So...
I do not remember it being like an international trip at all for the first one. I couldn't have told you it was an international destination, let alone France.
Yeah.
So very good. I'll accept that. I'll accept Florida for the answer. Apparently you knew France too. So
Between that and my half answer of Rusty, I'll take the 1 point.
Half answer, Rusty. All right. This next one, here it comes. And everybody's favorite holiday movie, Elf. What is the first rule, the number 1 overall rule for the Code of Elves? I'll give you the other 2. The other 2 are... spread holiday cheer by singing loud for all to hear, which is like the theme of the movie.
Is it like treat every day like Christmas?
Treat every day like Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's already 4.
Noise.
That's already 4. Well, actually, no, it's not.
I'm sweating it.
No, it's not. That's only 3. No, it's 4. I'm an idiot. That's 4. Okay, you know what? We're gonna run through. I only have
is it or is it not 4?
I only have 3 more questions at this point. I changed up my method of how I was marking you yes or no as I typed this out. So, like, I couldn't keep track of my own method here. I only got 3 more questions, so we're just going to go through it. So, the final question I had in my original set was, who bullies Ralphie in A Christmas Story?
I can picture his face more so than I'm going to be able to remember his name.
Yellow eyes. So help me God, yellow eyes.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I can, like, vividly see that kid's face. I don't know his name. I don't remember it.
So first off, I thought forever it was Scott Farkus. But upon looking it up, it's S-C-U-T. Is that Scott Farkus?
Scott Farkus.
I thought it was Scott Farkus.
I wonder if that's a miss. I wonder if you looked up. Are you sure?
I Googled it.
Actually, Scott.
I saw it on a trivia site. I was like, there's no way. I was like, they meant Scott. But it's spelled S-C-U-T.
Huh.
But I swear in the movie he said Scott Farkus. What a rotten name.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But
yeah.
Scott Farkus does sound more rotten than Scott Farkus, I hope.
Scott. Like, ugh. Scott just sounds like, ugh.
So that was the final question of my regular one. So the last 2 of the reserve questions we had. This first one, I believe for you, might be a layup. It is, who wrote the score for Home Alone? Throwback to a couple weeks ago.
It's John Williams.
John Williams, baby. Yes,
one of his best. Yeah,
yes,
it's very underrated one maybe for him, but beautiful score.
Absolutely love it. And finally, another one from National Lampoons. I just feel like there's so much going on in that movie. It was kind of easy to grab different bits of trivia from. What is Clark Griswold's nickname in the movie? His wife especially calls him this several times.
I feel like I'm going to hate myself when I hear this one.
It's not that like grand. It's just Sparky.
Okay, yeah.
Sparky. Yep. Yeah. There you have it.
Yep. Okay.
Well, overall, by the grit of his teeth, by the Scott Farkus of his teeth.
By the Scott on my teeth.
Buddy, I'm going to award you the dub. I think you did great. Especially pulling the Home Alone, like, France out of there. That's insane to me. I can't believe you...
Well, I didn't do that, but...
Well, you did. You just didn't say it.
I literally didn't say it.
And
what a great Christmas gift you have given me for awarding me this victory.
So now, if you're new here, he has won the trivia. That means he now gets to pick. Does he want the first overall pick in the draft? He wants number 1 so bad. Or will he yield and give me the number 1 pick, but then he gets pick 2 and 3? What'll it be, pal?
Yeah. So, it's an interest... I feel like, unlike a lot of our lists, I feel like the top of both of ours are going to be very, very similar. Mm-hmm. Our top... I legitimately think probably 3 of each of our top 4 is the same, maybe in a little different order. And I'm pretty confident I know what you would take as your top 2. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm okay giving you one of those, and what I would imagine your three would be. I'm gonna take the number one. I'm taking one and at least grabbing the one that I
Wow.
prefer the most.
Okay. Well, you teed that up. I thought for sure
Yeah.
you were going to say, I'm going to let you have one, and then I'm going to take two of your next three. That's what I thought you were saying. Wow.
Yeah, well, I think, and I'll explain the other half of my reasoning once we loop back around. Because with my first pick, I don't know that this is necessarily my, normally if I take the one, I'm thinking I want to lock in like my number one. But really here, I think of your top two, which I think are both in my top four, what I imagine I think are your top two. There's one of those I would much rather have on my list than the other. So not knowing exactly what way you'd go with one, I would rather just go ahead and lock in of those two picks, which one I'd rather have. So, because I'm confident, like I said, I know what you would take right after it, and I'm fine with that. So first overall, really no surprise to most anyone, I'm going to take the 2000 classic Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I don't know if it's necessarily my full stop number one or not. There's a couple here that I think I could kind of play around with that ultimate title, but this one is absolutely in the conversation for it. I feel like we talk almost every episode somehow or another. We wrap Jim Carrey into our discussion, but there's no one better that they could have cast as the Grinch. I feel like
Absolutely
for this type
not.
of iteration of him, he is. You can tell they were just like, Jim, go like make us a great movie, and you could tell he was just having a ball with it.
Right.
And the practical effect makeups there is just, it's incredible. He looks so great considering that was in 2000.
Right.
I know some people are kind of turned off by some of the just like kookiness maybe of the movie, but I think it's fantastic, and maybe it's just because I'm so nostalgic for it partly, but I don't think it's one of those that you can just dismiss as pure nostalgia. I do think it holds up really well as an actual good movie. His performance is obviously the highlight of it, but I think there's a lot of great stuff there. The basic story of the Grinch is told. Obviously, you get some more background into his past and everything. I think it's great. It's definitely one that I will watch every single year. Will not miss a year to watch that one. So yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. I do think it is the definitive Grinch version. I know our pal Shapirian loves his little Illumination version, and that is just depressing. But this one is considerably better. So yeah, that's all I've got.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas is one of the, I think there might be like three movies. I promise you could look up the script, read a random line, and I can tell you what line comes after it for the entire film. I love that movie, every second of it. It's everything you said about Jim Carrey being perfect for it. It's so funny. It's very heartfelt. The score in it's kind of epic too. Like I just love it all.
Yeah.
Like whenever he picks the sled up on the top of the mountain and it pans out real wide, it's really beautiful, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hilarious. That's a great. It hurts.
I remember you watching it on your little tiny.
I had an
screen.
iPod Nano, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it was like an inch long. I sit there and watch it on the bus. That's how much I love that movie. It is so great. So yeah, that hurts. That hurts that you took it, but I appreciate the pick.
Yeah, I didn't know if you would be your number one or
It was.
what I imagine you were about to take in one your next two, but
Yeah, it was my number one. So now I'll just take my number two.
yeah, figured so.
And
Sorry about it.
I'm gonna take what was the star of our trivia. I want National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is definitely, it's this and The Grinch for me are the two that like every year I'm like I have to watch those movies. Two very different tones. Jim Carrey's The Grinch is very in your face, at times very loud or whatever. I do think National Lampoon's is almost kind of dry if you watch it. You got to kind of like there's jokes like, oh, I didn't even notice that was a joke if you ain't listening. But I like that. I like that you could watch the movie 20 times and still pick up on new jokes. I love like the family dynamic going on here. It's great. Clark trying his best to like put on the show and host everybody, and everything goes well, and then everything just keeps on happening. Cousin Eddie shows up. It is so quotable. I think like every other line of this movie is a quote. I don't know. It's great. It doesn't necessarily invoke that, hopeful spirit of Christmas that maybe like the Grinch does, or some of these other titles, I'm sure. But it's just funny, and it's a more realistic Christmas story. I think I love National Lampoon's.
Yeah, no, it's great. This is exactly how I imagine this top couple picks are gonna shake out. I love it. Like I said, it is probably squarely. If we were doing Rushmores, it would be on mine. I think it's in my top four. It just of those, it might be closer to my number four than my number one. That's why I was doing this trade off. And I really don't have. This isn't a bad thing about the film necessarily, because like I said, I do love it. I just think it almost like stresses me out a little bit watching it. Like it's so chaotic, like some of the family stuff there's a little bit of stress there, and it's just like just compared to a couple of the other ones, it just maybe I just don't adore it quite as much. I still love it. Like you said, there's so many quotable moments here, and some of the line deliveries in this movie are just fantastic. So many great ones. The characters are just memorable. You can remember every character's name, especially the kids. It's just so much. There's so much going on. It's just fantastic. And it is so like you don't realize it when you're like a kid, but it really is kind of relatable. Just like some of the stuff that you have to deal with, like the in-laws are coming in, or this or that. Like there's so many little things that you just start like as you get older, kind of understanding and like resonating more with.
Yes.
And it's undeniable. The vacation movies are all really good. There's a couple I haven't seen in a long time, but they're really strong. And I think this is my favorite one of the whole bunch.
For sure.
And yeah, it's a great Christmas movie. It captures all the chaos of Christmas, because as much as we all love Christmas, it is definitely chaotic. Yes. And this movie kind of captures that perhaps more than anything else. So great pick. Exactly what I imagined you were going to take. And great pick.
Oh, thanks. That being said, I now have number 3 pick, and I'm gonna take the last one on my list. Honestly, that I'm like I would be slightly upset if he took that. There's one coming up that I'm sure is gonna be on either of ours. That there's 2 of that. Honestly, I don't care which one I get, and I imagine you kind of feel the same. So I'm like, well, I'll take one of those.
Yeah.
So that being said, my second pick, I want to take The Santa Claus. Which may be a little bit of a shock, but again, it's mostly because like I think maybe it could be on yours, maybe even down the list, so I kind of want it now. The Santa Claus, as I watch it more growing up, it just like, I don't know, I'm not going to say it has a chance of like overtaking The Grinch or National Lampoon's as my favorite, but it has slowly like risen over the years in my ranks as I watch it. It's just so like creative. I think the whole North Pole and the elves all doing their thing, whatever. I know we've seen it a million times, like the elves in the North Pole, but they do it a little differently. The story of Santa Claus is funny. He puts on the suit, the Santa Claus, like it's cool. Tim Allen's great. Very rarely do I find child actors in these movies tolerable at all, and I think whoever the kid is that plays, I can't remember the kid's name honestly off the top of my head, but
Charlie.
It is Charlie. You're right. It is Charlie.
Yeah.
I think he's great. My only beef with the Santa Claus, and I'm sure a lot of these movies do it, we've talked about it before off air. In these universes where Santa Claus is real, right? All these parents are like, Santa's not real. But then they wake up every Christmas and there's additional presents under the tree. So they just think like, I'm going to drunkenly put those under there. It kind of makes no sense. Like, and that is like a plot hole. I admit that's nitpicking. But the Santa Claus is perhaps the biggest offender of that, of like, the guy says there's no Santa Claus, but I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, to a certain degree, like it could come up in any of these Christmas movies that Santa is a character, because that's like almost inherently what part of the story is going to be about. And there's almost no creative way around that, at least that I've seen. Mm-hmm. There might be a movie that cleverly tackles that or something. See, I agree that is literally a plot hole, but like you kind of just have to like accept these movies for kind of what they're doing and where they're coming from.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is a good pick. Like we're drafting lists of 7 here, so there's no way that wouldn't have eventually come up on mine. It would have been maybe slightly further down for me. This is like my older sister's like potentially her number 1 favorite Christmas movie. She loves it. So we watched it a lot growing up. It's like the movie that I think has made a lot of people our generation misspell Santa Claus's name for years. Yeah, because they don't understand the pun as like the clause in the contract instead of like clause. Yeah. But it's fantastic. I think Tim Allen is like at some of his most like likable stuff here. Mm-hmm. Really good. It's kind of it's fun, or what? Gosh, I can't find my words. It's like underrated level of funny. It's like surprisingly funny every time I rewatch it. But yeah, it's one that I really like it. It's not necessarily like I have to make sure I watch this one every year, but I feel like most years I do get to it. Yeah, pleasant movie. I don't have many other notes, but yeah, good pick.
Pleasant
good pick.
movie. I to reiterate what I said earlier about like you just like all the gadgets and stuff. I just think that's cool. Like we see Scott becoming Santa, and we see the elves like rescuing him whenever he's in jail, and they, like the little chalk like cuts through the bars, and they come and rescue him with like their little hover packs and stuff, and the snow globe that can like call him wherever he's at. Like there's a lot of like fun like whimsical stuff in this movie. I just think it's fun.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah,
they have it,
and I think the elves are like the elves that are like actual characters are like likable too. Yeah. Like I don't know, there's some good characters.
Bernard's great.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
That said, pal,
yeah.
I'm excited
good
to hear
pick.
you steal another one of mine with your second pick. So have at it.
It's getting tough because you directly alluded to it. I fully expected you to take one of our two that. Likely we're probably splitting these. I think we both kind of are probably expecting that to happen.
Right.
Now we're just playing a game of like how long do I want to like try to grab other ones and let the other person
right
break that seal.
Right.
I might just go ahead and do it though, just so if I'm gonna pick one of them, it's honestly you could ask me tomorrow and I might have like a different answer, but I think more days than not, my favorite one is Home Alone 2. Lost in New York. When I said The Grinch might not be my number one overall, it's because Home Alone exists. It's the only other one that I could see myself saying that is my favorite Christmas movie. But with that, I don't know which one I'm necessarily saying because I do love both of these Home Alone movies a lot. I think they both have a lot going for them. Very similar in some regards. Obviously, it's essentially the same movie, just in a new setting.
Right.
But they're both really funny. Harry and Marv are just fantastic. I could like just watch a whole full movie devoted to just following them around.
Yes.
But in the second one particularly, I love how they've graduated from the wet bandits to the sticky bandits. Yes. I think that's funny. I think all the stuff in the hotel is just really, really good. The bird lady, it's kind of a touching little story there. Yeah. I don't know. I think everything about it is just pure, just entertaining from beginning to end. And I think the New York setting adds a lot. And my single favorite Christmas frame of all time is Kevin McAllister holding the brick over the edge of the building, about to chuck it down there. It is a wild scene. Even as a kid, I was like, wouldn't he be dead?
He should be dead.
And it's like
multiple. Yeah. He took multiple.
He should be dead many times over.
Yeah.
And even just like some of the booby traps he sets, like I love they think they're outsmarting him by the paint cans missing, and then he just sends down the whole like
the bar, which would have decapitated him. Yeah,
it's great. As a kid, like there's nothing better than just watching those buffoons just be demolished by this little kid. It's hilarious, and Macaulay Culkin is up there about like just one of the most likable kid actors ever.
Sure.
For that, like when he's that age. It's something that I've only seen a couple other like the Home Alone movies at post Macaulay Culkin. And I think that's where they just fall apart is like none of those kids are anywhere near as likable as Kevin was in those first two. So yeah, I'm happy to take that. And I know that likely means you will end up with the other one at some point, but yeah, I think I just ever so slightly prefer the second one more days than not. So
I agree with a lot of what you just said. I think I overall like the second one better. Going back to like the booby traps, like Marv gets like electrocuted to the point we see his skeleton, and like he just walks away. Obviously, it's like meant to be funny, but it is funny that like that happens.
Yeah.
You alluded to the brick scene. The whole brick scene either way. I love when he's the one throwing the bricks. Marv's already hit. And somehow Harry's like, what? Like he doesn't get what he's saying. But then it still hits Marv. Like it's so stupid. But then I love the line later whenever they're up there and Kevin slides down and Marv grabs the brick. Suck brick, kid! And he misses.
It's
like
so
wide
good.
left misses. Like not even close. It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't see a universe where you somehow pick the other one too, but just in case, I'll go ahead and follow that right up with the first one.
I might have eventually somewhere down the list. I might have
Right.
done
If
it.
it's the 7, like you might have.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take it. Some of the things about the first one, I think they're both pretty like Christmassy. I think like the turtle doves with the weird dove lady is a sweet story. Like in the second one, obviously the first one is like more centered. I think the first one almost it feels more Christmassy because doesn't he put up like the Christmas stuff by himself and like all that stuff.
Yep. And even just like his little red sweater, like it just feels Christmassy. It does. Something about it does.
I saw a fact earlier whenever I was looking up stuff for the trivia. Apparently, like pretty much every piece of the inside of their house is red or green in that movie. I didn't realize that. Obviously, I'm sure like the cabinets might not be, but like apparently like pretty much everything is like red or green. That's fine. I do like the first one a little bit more for like him having to go out on his own, like when he goes to the supermarket and he's coming home with the bags and they like rip. Yep. Like it's somehow relatable even as an adult, even though he's 10 years old or whatever he is. Some of the kills, some of the booby traps in the first one are still great. I love one of my all-time favorite sarcastic lines is when Marv like peeks his head into the doggy door and Kevin's just sitting there with the gun like at his forehead and goes, "Hello." I love that line. So I don't know. Yeah. We've basically said it, but like you could flip a coin, honestly, almost for me on which one's my favorite. Like I think I might lean 52% towards Home Alone 2, but it really is that close. I love both of these.
Yeah, like I said, certain days I might even say one because I honestly think one might be like a quote unquote better movie as far as just like overall like story structure and everything, but then the second one just has so many individual moments that I just think stick out my memory as just being favorite little moments that it might get the edge. But yeah, we're splitting hairs when we're talking about these. They're both fantastic, so it's kind of a draw to have one each on our list, but we couldn't have these lists without them. So
yeah, especially for me, I'm sure they're as prominent, quote unquote, in the second one, but that first one, the John Williams score, dude, it is such a great.
It is fantastic.
It kind of like makes you sad. It kind of it induces like joy at the same time. Like it's so good. The score of the first one, I love it.
It's wonderful. Yeah,
I
completely agree.
I'm trying to quickly look them both up on Letterboxd to see which one is technically rated higher. And I'm
assuming one.
And my Letterboxd is just sitting here. It's not doing anything. So.
Oh, wonderful. But sometimes it does have weird, like, access problems.
Just sitting there. Anyway, all that to say, buddy, now we're on your number 3 still.
All right, I'm on my number 3, and I'm about to take something that it's probably not even on yours. I don't know if you've seen this movie, but just in case, I really want this on my list because it's one that has skyrocketed in my personal enjoyment of recently.
Okay.
Give me The Muppet Christmas Carol.
I knew it was going to be on there. I knew it was. I saw that today. I was like, he's taking that.
So as I've gotten older, I've become more romantic toward the Muppets. How could you not be romantic toward the Muppets?
How could you not?
I don't know. Growing up, like we weren't like a Muppet household necessarily. We weren't anti-Muppet. But we weren't necessarily like a Muppet family.
Okay.
They kind of weren't on our. We didn't really watch much of them at all. My aunt was kind of a fan, so occasionally we'd go over there. We'd see like one of the movies or something. I remember watching like the original Muppet movie or something when I was young over there. But it just kind of wasn't on my radar. But in recent years, I've just kind of have this newfound appreciation for the Muppets for some reason. I think they're hilarious. I think so many of the characters are just like really funny and in a kind of adorable way. And I love how these movies have like one or two like actual live action actors and they're just like surrounded by these Muppets they're interacting with. And I think the Christmas Carol version might be like the best version because it's like, Michael Caine, like one of the all-time great actors, is playing Scrooge and everyone else is a Muppet and it's just fantastic. And it's a musical and it's just I think that's why I'm drafting it, just for the music alone. Recently it's just been like in my on my Spotify Christmas list, and that like One More Sleep Till Christmas is fantastic. It's such a great song. Kermit the Frog went hard on that one.
Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, it was like when we started thinking about this, like it's like up there is like one of the top two. I just wanted to make sure I got on my list. So just on the off chance you had it on yours, I just wanted to go ahead and take it now.
I did not. I honestly haven't seen it, but I do want to see it both because apparently it's a good musical. I too was not a Muppet house growing up. Didn't watch a lot of Sesame Street. Didn't watch a lot of anything really regarding that.
Yeah.
So already like watching that movie would be the most Muppets I've ever watched. But I am willing to do it because apparently it's great. And I got nothing. It's like you said, I'm not anti Muppet. I just haven't.
Anti-Muppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would recommend it. There's a couple songs in that movie that are really great. There's a couple other Muppet movies that are kind of fun too, but I think this one's great. And I think it's the Christmas Carol story is one that I always really liked. I used to read the book every December. It's a short 100-page book. And there's all kinds of versions of this movie that I like to varying degrees, but this will probably be the only representation on my list of this. But yeah, it's kind of become my favorite version of it. So
nice,
happy to have it.
Nice, yeah, I'm fine with that. I promised earlier when I was needing inspiration and just Googling like Christmas movies, and it was on the list. I was like, he's taking that. He's for sure gonna take that. I should have sniped it.
You know me so well. First overall.
Yeah. Like I said, at this point for me, I really don't have any that I'm worried you'll take, so I'm kind of just taking my picks as I go. I'm going to take one that satisfies two great aspects for me. It is a Christmas movie. It's also a scary movie. I want Gremlins.
Nice.
Dude, we gave some love to it whenever we were talking about scary movies, I think, or something. I can't remember exactly when we gave love to this movie already, but I love it. I love this movie. The score, especially, is fantastic. Somehow, Jerry Goldsmith blended like Christmas with uneasiness, with like it's all there. It's all really good. There's a love story, and it kind of makes you feel bubbly at times. And like the next second, it's scary again. I don't know. I love Gremlins, and again, it satisfies both for me because I don't think you have to watch this around Christmas because it's kind of spooky. I think you could watch it in October too and get that kind of spooky feel. Obviously, better I think if you're in the mood for a little spooky Christmas flick, then pop in Gremlins and enjoy and just laugh at it. If you're not laughing with it, laugh at it for the little puppets, the way they are and stuff. I think it's genuinely funny, though. I do enjoy it.
No, absolutely. When you started saying Christmas, but maybe a little spoopy, there honestly a couple movies came to mind that I didn't know what direction you were going to go. But yeah, I shouldn't be surprised at all. I know you love Gremlins. I haven't really visited it in a long time. I need to give Gremlins a rewatch. But no notes really. I agree with you that I think there's just something kind of charming about it. Maybe that is just like part of the practical effects, and I agree the score is fantastic. It's just one of those movies that kind of gives you that like nostalgic-y,
yes,
I don't know, that nostalgic Christmas kind of feeling. Yeah, no, I like it. I like the pick, and I think it is well representative of you for a Christmas list. So
yeah, that's how I wanted it too. Yeah, exactly. I wanted like, this is a little. You can tell this is my list because it's got Gremlins on it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
One last thing with the score, just to give it a little bit of love. There's that little fanfare. It's technically like a part of Gizmo's theme, I think, that plays like throughout the movie, but it plays like at certain different tones at certain times or whatever. Just a little fanfare, I call it, that movie. It's a little notes, like it's great. I freaking love that movie, dude. I think if you rewatch it as an adult, like I think you'll like a lot of the comedy in it too. Just like because like, the Gremlins themselves are honestly funny. Like what they're doing, like they're in a packed theater watching like Snow White. What?
Right,
like what is
right.
happening? Like it's just funny.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it. I will try to rewatch it this holiday season and get back to you.
Yeah. Okay. With that said, pal, number 4. Let me hear it.
Fourth pick. Oh gosh, like, a couple different directions I can go. I'm gonna go with I guess the most recent thing on my list here. That is a movie from last year, The Holdovers. I don't know if you've seen it. It is a drama more so than anything else. It has some kind of comedy mixed in there, but it's definitely not a comedy necessarily. I won't talk too much about it since you haven't even seen it, but very highly recommend. Paul Giamatti is like this like boarding school like teacher or something, and all the students go home for Christmas except this one student is left there, so it's focusing on him and Paul Giamatti as the instructor, and there's like a cook that's also left over there, so it's just like them all kind of spending the holiday season together, and they're very different and they have different problems back home and with their, own personal lives they're getting over. And it's just a very kind of sentimental Christmas movie. It feels like something that would have come out in like, the 70s or 80s, and it just came out in 2023. So it kind of has a throwback kind of vibe to it. And Paul Giamatti's performance is outstanding. He was nominated for Best Actor last year. In a lot of years, I could have seen that performance even winning the award. It just went up against Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, so he did not win it. But yeah, still great to be even nominated. So if anyone is listening and has not seen The Holdovers, highly recommend. It would be a good watch for your 2024 Christmas season list.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
I looked it up. It has great reviews. So yeah, I'll put it on my watch list. Yeah, never heard of it, but that doesn't mean it's not good. Cool. So
very good.
That's very good. Pick 5. I got it. Like, I just took Gremlins, and that is obviously like you said. It's like a little bit of you. Like, I have another that would fit there. I might let that slide a little bit. A lot of these are just like, oh, Scott picked that. Of course you did. Here it comes, baby. I want Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh. I think I said it before. Like, if you go watch this movie, it honestly is just like, it's a good Christmas movie. It really is. Like, they're helping these orphans, and there's a guy that somehow like hates the orphans or whatever, and like he hates Drake and Josh, and he doesn't want their plan to go through, and they gotta like melt his cold heart, and so like it's great. It's Drake and Josh, so it's obviously funny. Like, I haven't watched this in years, in a decade. I haven't watched this at least, so I do need to rewatch it. But I remember really enjoying it. Maybe I enjoyed it a little more back then because I was just so high on the Drake and Josh train. But that train never stops, baby. Drake and Josh is great. So I maybe it shouldn't be on here, but I enjoy it, and I need to go give it a rewatch, and I think you should too.
Yeah, I mean, no hate toward Drake and Josh. If viewers remember, I drafted the theme song to Drake and Josh very highly on our theme show song draft.
We remember.
I'll be honest. I have next to no memory of this. I know I have seen it, but it has been so long that I could not tell you much at all about it, or what my feelings today would be on it. But I'm sure with those characters that it's a entertaining watch, if nothing else. So yeah, it's something that I'm more than happy to throw on and revisit here soon as well.
Okay. That said, buddy, you got 5 now. Pick 5.
Okay, pick 5. This is another one I don't even know if you've seen. It's honestly not that great of a movie, but one that is just very nostalgic for me, and I know at least my older sister, because we used to watch it at my grandmother's house every year. Give me Jack Frost.
Yeah.
This movie is, like I said, it's kind of weird. Like, Michael Keaton is in this like band, and he's driving home like on, I don't know if it's Christmas Eve or it's just in the winter. He gets in a car wreck and dies.
Very Christmassy.
And his like spirit is like goes into this snowman that his son builds in the front yard, and he comes alive as Jack Frost the snowman, and his son, who I for some reason think his name is also Charlie in this. Maybe Charlie's just the
kid name of the 90s.
The Christmas movie kid name, yeah. His son is the only one who knows that his dad is like, it takes him a little bit to convince him that I'm your dad. But there were like the relationship that the son then has with his father, who he has lost. I think it might be the next Christmas when his dad comes and takes over this Jack Frost. It's kind of heartbreaking because this kid has lost his dad, but he gets this these few days or whatever with his dad again in the form of this snowman. No one else necessarily believes him, but the winter season starts coming to a close, and the snow's gonna melt, and it's like him having to come to terms again with like moving on from his dad. And it's kind of heartbreaking, but we really loved it as kids. And it's one that even now, like, I get kind of teary eyed, like when I throw it on, even though there's parts about it that aren't necessarily great. But Michael Keaton is really funny. And there's a few moments in the movie that I still like think are absolutely hilarious. So I would recommend giving it a shot. Maybe you will connect with some of the emotional punches that it throws. But yeah, it's not great, but I think this far down the list, I'm happy to go ahead and grab it.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I don't remember a whole lot about it. It's one of those that I do remember watching, but not. I had to look up the synopsis to like remember, like, oh yeah, it was like a year later, like all this stuff. So yeah, I'll have to give it a rewatch. Definitely think it would be hard to like, yeah, I got you back. Well, just kidding. Got you back for however long it is. So yeah, that alone like sucks, like as a premise. So like, yeah, that would be a little heartbreaking. Yeah. So Yeah. There you have it, Jack Frost.
There you have it.
I'm on pick 6, and I'm just gonna continue rolling on the Scott picked that train. And I'm gonna pick what I imagine is the other movie that came to mind earlier when I said it's a Christmassy but a little spooky. I want Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's great. You can watch it whenever you want. You can watch it before Halloween. You can watch it before Christmas. You can watch it before both. If you're really like, I get that this not being some people's cup of tea. I think it's fully up there on the Tim Burton scale of like kind of weird. I do appreciate the music in a lot. Shout out Danny Elfman. I appreciate I like the cast of characters. I think they're all funny. Just especially the songs. A lot of the songs I know by heart, and I'll sit there and belt them out. I think they're great. Jack Skellington is fantastic. I love him as a character. I kind of hate that he's like over popularized. Like, you know, people get tattoos of him and stuff. I'm like, okay, like I like him that much too. Not enough to get a tattoo, but I like him.
Kind of like this guy. Like it's just like as a character, he's just like
everywhere.
Kind of become like a
yeah. Mm-hmm. So like I'm happy for it because like he is he is that. He is very cool. I think Stitch is very cool. Like I almost hate how popular he is because I've always hated I like this movie and yes, it's the best movie in the world and everybody likes it. I do too. Like I've always kind of leaned towards like I want to be a little different. So there's that. Fair. But I'm giving Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, it's one I kind of semi expected you to grab at some point. As you said, it's not quite my cup of tea, honestly. My wife and I went. They played it in the theater here right before Halloween, and we went and watched it. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and it's one that I definitely appreciate pieces of it a lot. Like you said, the music I think is fantastic. Even just the animation itself is very impressive.
It's like fun.
It's there's some really fun character designs. It's just overall it leans a little too Tim Burton-y for me, even though he technically didn't direct that. It's his story, apparently. I don't know how much he was like, I think he wrote it or something. It's some other, I forget the guy's name, I should know it. It's like a big misconception that Burton actually directed it, but it has Burton's fingerprints all over it.
Right.
And it's a little too odd for me in parts, but another thing I like is it's like, I mean, does even it hit 90 minutes? I'm not even sure. It's like short, and it's like a very kind of compact little run. It's easy to watch. So yeah, even though it's not my favorite, I definitely appreciate it, and I think for a lot of people, it is just up there as something they really, really adore. So, great pick.
Henry Selick directed it.
Yeah.
Never heard of him, honestly.
There you have it. Shout out Henry Selick. You're welcome for us.
Apparently,
taking the time to look that up.
He was known as an in-betweener in Walt Disney. I don't know. There you have it.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it. Number 6, buddy. Give us it.
All right. I think at this point I'm just going to go and grab this. As you said, Buddy. Give me Buddy the Elf in Elf. I agree with you, ultimately, that it's not the elite tier that many people put it in these days. I think it's a lot of people. Honestly, if you go to the street and just ask people what's your favorite Christmas movie, you're probably going to get a lot of Elf answers. Yep. A lot.
Yep.
And part of that, I think, is since 2000, we had The Grinch in 2000. Since then, like, can you name, like, really big Christmas releases that have come out that are just, like, you know, these big, like, society, like, all of society, like, goes and, like, flocks toward this Christmas movie, like Elf. Like, Elf was a big deal, and I don't, like, we don't get that much anymore, I feel like. But I think it's worth watching. It is one that we normally watch every year, and I think it is quotable, even if it has diminishing returns as the story progresses. I think it loses some steam and isn't quite as interesting. But the beginning is really funny, and there are funny moments throughout the whole movie. And as we kind of said before, Will Ferrell, when we talked about him in his own little episode, I think him like just wrapping his mind around the childness of Buddy the Elf is kind of where he's in his sweet spot. He's just kind of comfortable in that type of role. And I think he's good here. And I do like the movie overall. So I think somewhere down here toward this pick 6, I think is a good spot for it.
I agree. What you just said, it is the Will Ferrell formula where it starts off funny. I would question, first off, I agree. If you question people on the street, I think you're going to get a lot of Elf's my favorite Christmas movie. I would love to hear half of those people tell me what the final act is of Elf. I promise you they could not. I promise, because it's
Buddy saves the day.
Yeah. Like no, you don't remember it. There are 20% of people who it's their favorite movie, and maybe like I am with the Grinch, they could tell you every line, they could tell you all the trivia, whatever.
Yep.
I think most people who say they like Elf don't really know Elf. They know the first half where it's funny, and then it falls into the Will Ferrell formula, and by the end I'm like, eh. So yeah, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, especially for Will Ferrell. I think it's honestly one of his better movies, I would say. But it still, to me, hits that formula of by the end I'm like, okay, I'm on to the next thing. So I wasn't gonna draft it. I think you knew you could have that whenever you wanted. So yeah, I think it's fine to land there.
I figured. I didn't know if you would like eventually just be like, I don't really have anything else I even like. I'll take Elf in 6 or 7. I didn't know, but I figured you weren't taking it early. So
All that to say, down to my last pick, and I'm gonna do what I said before. Whenever I challenged and said that there are at least 7 movies I can name better than Elf, one of my picks for that was pick a classic. You mentioned not Jack Frost. Whenever you said Jack Frost earlier, I thought of there's a classic with Jack Frost, isn't there? Is it Jack Frost?
There probably is.
I think there is.
Or you might, yeah, I don't know. You might be thinking of like the Year Without a Santa Claus, like.
Yeah, maybe it is that.
Yeah.
All that to say, I think you could just pick a classic here. For the first time ever, like 2 days ago, I watched The Little Drummer Boy with my wife. I never seen it somehow. Little Drummer Boy is my favorite Christmas song. Never seen that thing. So I liked it. Okay. It was fun. We also watched Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which was good. Again, I think you just pick a classic. I am going to pick Rudolph. I think Rudolph is just like the classic for me. I like the story just overall. You know, if you boil it down to like nobody believes in this kid, he can't do it, and then like he steps up and saves the day. Like, I think it's cool. I like when an outcast is like turns around and is saving the day. So for that alone, I like Rudolph. I just think it's very, very Christmas-y. I also would have had Frosty right up there. I think Frosty's fun. Songs are fun. Yeah. So I'll take Rudolph.
Yeah, no, I think that honestly is probably my favorite of the classics as well. I had my thing between like 3 movies here, and that was one of them that I was considering. I think it's honestly kind of hilarious to watch too. Some of it is laughing with the movie, and some of it might be laughing a little bit at it. But it is a treat to watch that. I feel like there are so many little moments that are, as we said earlier, the eat Popeye eat is I love that. The whole like, why am I such a misfit? Like there's so many things that are funny. Yukon Cornelius is, I
love him,
hilarious.
Licking his little pig.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Like licking little, it's so good. Silver and Gold, like what a banger. There's it's great. The whole little movie is just, it's kind of wild, but it's really funny. Yeah, I love the pick, honestly. I like who was even going to take it. So you kind of got a little half snipe there on me in the last round.
Wow.
So
okay.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
So I have a couple here, and I'll give maybe a couple honorable mentions at the end. But this, I guess for my last pick, this might be a hot take. I don't know how much of a hot take. I'm actually going to take the Santa Claus 2, which is my favorite of the Santa Claus movies.
I think
the first one is very good. Yeah, I was considering taking this a little earlier, but then once you took the Santa Claus, I figured you definitely weren't taking another one in the franchise. I don't know what it is exactly. The first one I do think is a very fine movie. Like I said earlier, I like it a lot. I just always, as a kid, really liked Santa Claus 2. Something about like the fake Santa, and it's just really funny to me. And I think just the battle between the Santas kind of, and it gives Tim Allen even more to do, like kind of his Tim Allen stuff on both sides.
Right.
It's just really funny, and it worked for me a lot. So really, I haven't watched it out in a couple years either, but now I kind of want to. Yeah, I'm happy to have that to balance out a little bit. Maybe ultimately, if people are like voting on these lists, you're going to get more points for the Santa Claus, and I'm going to get for the Santa Claus too. But I hope people at least like the second one, because it's always been my favorite. So.
That's fine. I would have said after 1 it goes to 3 for me, but that's also because I don't remember when's the last time I watched 2. I definitely have seen 3 more, and I love freaking Martin Short, right?
Martin Short,
I love Martin Short. It's like him as Jack Frost.
I agree.
That was he was like
agree.
such a character in that movie. And I like that he like challenged Santa Claus, you know, like he was trying to become Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And stuff. All that to
Uh-huh.
say, I guess I remember more of 3. I remember 2. It
Okay.
isn't like the premise of 2, like he has to like find a wife, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like I remember bits of 2. I guess all that to say, I need to rewatch it because I freaking love the Santa Claus, and I don't think any of them are like bad. 2 or 3, I don't remember being
Right.
bad. If you want to say they're worse than the first
I
one,
think
maybe, but
Yeah, I think we watched them a few years ago, my wife and I, 2 years ago, maybe 3. And I agree, Martin Short is fantastic. I love Martin Short. I do say the third movie overall just didn't quite work for me as much. I just don't think I think maybe parts of the formula are just getting a little old by that point.
that's fair.
Something about it. So overall, I do like the second one more, but I completely agree with you that Martin Short as Jack Frost in that movie is really, really funny.
I think he did that great. That's one of those like, obviously it's not to the same degree as Jim Carrey's Grinch, but I'm like for that role, I'm like I think he was perfect for that. I really do.
He was great. Yeah, I agree. He was great. So yeah, ultimately watch all 3 Santa Claus movies this year, everyone.
Yes.
It's good little franchise. So yeah, that's our list. Do you have any honorable mentions you want to give any love to?
Honestly, no, because you sniped the Grinch from me. Then I had at the end there I said pick a classic. I mentioned Little Drummer Boy. I mentioned Frosty. So I'm honestly fine with mine. I don't have really a lot of honorable mentions to go through. You apparently have like 10 more.
I have a few. I don't have to list them all. Just a cup like on the this isn't even a classic, and honestly, I would never have drafted this, but just because you mentioned Frosty, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just stuck on some of these sequels. I took Home Alone 2, Santa Claus 2. Frosty Returns is not very good, but if there's any Christmas song that I sing year round, it is the Let There Be Snow. I don't know exactly what the title of it is from Frosty Returns.
I think I remember what you're talking about.
It's John Goodman, which is awesome in and of
Whoa.
itself. So it's like kind of his like deeper voice playing Frosty in this one, and it's like that. Oh, let there be snow, let there be. I don't know what it is about it. I love that song so much. But the movie's not great. But I was gonna give a shout out to that one just because I sing that song year round. I had Christmas with the Cranks written down. It's another one that's not necessarily great, but I think it's similar to Christmas Vacation. Actually, I think it captures a lot of the chaos of the holidays
Yes.
really, really well. It's another one's kind of stressful to watch, but it's funny. Four Christmases is one that I also kind of enjoy. It's a kind of a rom-com. Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, I believe, are basically like both of their parents like divorced or something, and they were gonna have like this like couples trip they take, and like something happens and they can't go. So then like last minute they have to go visit both of their like all 4 sets of parents in one day or whatever.
Nice.
And it's funny. It's not great either, but it's one that it's like a fun little like date night watch or something for the holiday season for sure. Scrooged is kind of a fun one with Bill Murray. Another kind of take on the Christmas Carol story. And then Die Hard, obviously, I was just wanted to give a shout out to.
Yeah.
But that's about. I have a few others written down, but they're not necessarily all that noteworthy. So I think we drafted a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it's a great list. One that I'm surprised you didn't say just now is one that I admit maybe overall isn't that good. I want to rewatch as an adult just so I can appreciate our favorite actor more. I want to rewatch Jim Carrey's A Christmas Carol, where he plays like every role.
Yes.
I'd like to rewatch that again just for more than anything because I think I would appreciate him doing all the different roles and stuff.
Yeah, I think he's all the ghosts and Scrooge, obviously. I do like that a lot. Like I said, I just have a lot of love for A Christmas Carol story in general.
Right.
So I like a lot of these versions. I wasn't going to take multiple Christmas carols, so once I took the Muppets, I just wasn't going to take it. But I agree. I think Jim Carrey's is really good. If there's anything I just don't absolutely love, it's that Robert Zemeckis, the director. It's when he was in his phase of experimenting with that why am I blanking on the words? That motion capture animation. So it looks the same as like Polar Express because he made those back to back basically, and it's just not it's not my favorite.
It's a little weird
style of look.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a good movie, and I do love Jim Carrey in it. So it's really good. The whole cast actually is really good. It also has a few other actors I'm quite fond of in there. So yeah, good movie. Speaking though of Robert Zemeckis, I know this isn't a Mount Rushmore, but if we were doing a Buttmore, first and foremost on mine is Polar Express. Just, ugh. You are never going to hear me mention that on my list. Just not a good movie.
If we could like snip out the drifting the train scene, that scene's great. I think I love that scene. Other than that,
there are a few good sequences in it.
The score's kind of decent too. I think the score's fine.
There's some fun. I mean, and Tom Hanks's
he kills
performance in a few places is really good. Yeah. He is really good.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't just say like it's not like a 0 out of 10 or anything. I just remember. I think that movie came out in 2004 or so. I don't know. I'm guessing mid-elementary school.
I was going to guess 2008.
And then it became like the movie that every year they were like, oh, wear your pajamas. We're going to drink hot chocolate and watch Polar Express. And like kids would go feral over the Polar Express. And I was just like, what? Even as a kid, I was like, ugh, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not my favorite. And then neither one of us mentioned your probably biggest Buttmore nominee as well. I'm sure people are aware.
Yep.
I don't hate it quite as much as you, but it's nowhere near. As you saw, I didn't touch it.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of love for it either. So we can either leave it unnamed, or if you want to mention it, you can.
It was in the trivia. A Christmas Story is one of those that, like, I think honestly halfway because it was on 24 hours a day. It might still be, which is freaking insane if it is. Like, it's just not good. It is not good. It's quotable. At times, it's funny.
Yep.
I think a lot of the characters suck. Ralphie sucks. He's terrible. Like, I'm not saying the kid actor like did a bad. I'm not saying he is like the movie is bad because of that. I'm saying he's written bad. He's a bad kid. He's honestly terrible.
He's not easy to root for. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the dad is honestly one of my favorite characters in that movie. He's very quotable, especially with, like the stuff.
He's the best part of the movie
by far.
I think he's hands down the best part.
Yeah. His lines with like the leg lamp and stuff, like funny.
He's funny.
But the movie overall, like I don't like it. Yeah, that would be on my butt more for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's just kind of, my wife likes it more than I do. It's not her favorite, but she likes it even more. So we have tiers here. You hate it, I think, more than I do. I'm just not a fan at all. I just don't really even give it my attention at all. It's just, I just kind of too like almost mean spirited, if that's the right word. That's kind of what when I was talking to her, when I was trying to describe why I didn't connect with it. It's not. The Christmassy feeling of that movie just doesn't resonate.
Is there one? Like he gets the BB gun that he wants, and then he does shoot his eye out. Is there a moment of like, like no, I don't think so. Other than his mom like lying for him over the school fight and stuff, there's really not that many heartfelt moments in that whole movie.
Yeah, it's not great.
So
you should watch the you shouldn't actually, but Another Christmas Story or whatever they made.
A Christmas Story Christmas, I think it's called.
2 years ago. Maybe that's what it's called, absolutely trash.
Really?
Absolutely trash. It's so bad.
If it's somehow worse, then I need to watch it just for that. So
I think it might be, at least the first one, like you said, has some quotable, like, has some memorable moments in it. That are kind of, like the tongue stuck on the pole is like, that's something as a kid that, like,
you remember
that was, like, stuck in my brain year round. So it has some moments that are kind of iconic. I will give it that. But overall, just, it's not my thing. But, yeah. There you have it.
There you have it, people. And our last Buttmore is any Hallmark movie.
Yeah. Just throw them all on
there.
Where
the girlfriend and her boyfriend or fiance who's like a billionaire and is good looking himself, but she goes back to her hometown to help raise money for the local bakery, and there's this guy from her high school just standing there, and he's just like, he's not even like the best guy on the movie. He's just like a decent guy. But she remembers, everybody knows me in that small town. And then she like leaves the guy.
And she has to have a date for the town's Christmas festival on Christmas Eve.
I saw it. I can't remember how it was worded somewhere, but like, there's never a bad guy in those movies. Like the boyfriend or the fiance, whatever it is that she ends up leaving, he's never a bad guy. Never. It's just there's this guy from her childhood that she remembers and dated in high school, and she's like, bye. What? And every single one of them. You turn it on, I promise you within 10 minutes I can tell you how it's going to end. And I'm not saying that's a me thing, anybody can. And technically, yes, if you're watching a superhero movie, they're going to win in the end. I get that. It's dumber than that, though. It really is. Like, it's just how it is.
It's absurd, though, if you look, like, how much money... Because I was like, how do they even keep making these? Because they're literally the same thing. Yes. They're copy and pasting the same one over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. Like, who's watching these? But then you look, and, like, those things make all kinds of money. Because I guess they're making them so cheap or something, but like somehow they're making money. It's absurd to me how many people flock to those, even though they've seen it hundreds of times. It's crazy.
It's insane. We watched one not too long ago. It was like a few years ago, and there was like this guy who died in like the 1600s or something, like a long time ago. And like on Christmas Eve, his ghost is around for like a day, and he doesn't know why. And the woman, like, somehow they connect and she can whatever, and they figure out how he was murdered, I think, or something. And then he just appears, like, because they solved how he technically died like 3 centuries ago. He just materializes in today's time and goes about his life. I'm like, he's been dead for 400 years. And now because you solved his murder, he now lives.
That's a Hallmark.
It's a Hallmark movie. I was like, what is happening?
That's insane.
It was honestly almost almost entertaining because I was like, what is happening?
It's different. Yeah. Unless I'm giving points to that one just for being something different. Yeah.
I remember him like materializing like from like an apparition like to a man and then just like walking away. I was like, what is going on?
Thanos stepping through the portal.
So
whoa.
I'll have to find that and I'll send it to you. And you can watch that this Christmas.
You can't wait.
Anything else from you, pal?
I don't think so. Merry Christmas, everyone. And Happy New Year.
Actually being heartfelt, I love it. Merry Christmas, everybody.
God bless us, everyone.
And to all, good night.
All right, well, see you later.